On GC, and we wanted everybody to stay together to hear that this morning, and Angie's going to come and do that for us. GC is Global Challenge, one of our partner charities working in Uganda. Indeed. Over to you.
And we just want to say how amazing God has been and how much has been God-driven, really, during the time for lockdown and COVID and the situation there in Soroti in Uganda. We're delighted to be able to say about the special school placement that we have for a young girl called Sarah Rhoda. Now, for those of you who are still in school, can you imagine what it would be like in your school if all of a sudden you weren't able to see? If you weren't able to see, how on earth would you be able to read? How on earth would you be able to write? Things would be really challenging, and this is what's happened for our friend Sarah. She has needed to be able to go to a special school, to a blind school, so that she can then progress in her learning. So she'd already got so far at her school, but then that school wasn't able to support her enough to help her to be able to read and write. So thanks to the kindness of a donor, she will be supported now for 3 years at St Francis School for the Blind. Also, we are delighted to tell you about a young guy called Ogwanan. He was a young child and his mum didn't have very much money. She was trying to support him on her own, and they couldn't afford any medical care. Now, there have been some times when we might moan about the NHS. There are some times when we might think, oh, we've had to wait an awful long time for an appointment. But actually, in Uganda, everybody has to pay for all their medical bills. So if you can imagine having to do that, it costs an awful lot of money. And this poor mum didn't have any. And our special needs coordinator, Billy, he was very concerned about Ogwanan when he met him 4 years ago. And he had problems with his legs. So again, for all of those that are jumping around and singing and dancing at the moment, can you imagine what it's like then to have a problem with your legs and not be able to see a doctor, not be able to pay to have any medical treatment? Well, this week, it was actually on Thursday that Ogwanan went into hospital in Soroti and he went through his operation. And this was to be able to take out a lot of bone that was infected in his thigh bone. He's now had that operation. They are going to be testing to see what other medical treatment he might need, but also we've been able to provide him with the ongoing medical care and support and any physiotherapy and things like that that he might need. So again, we just want to thank everybody that supports Global Challenge, but also to praise God that his life has actually been saved by having this operation too. And we've got 5 children who are going to also be having surgery on the 14th of June. So again, we'd like prayers for their well-being as they go into hospital. Now, if you think about when you go to the toilet in this country, then normally, for boys, you might need to stand up, but not all the time. Sometimes even boys need to sit down when they go to the toilet. Isn't that right? Think about it. But for us as ladies as well, we actually always do need to sit down. Now, unfortunately, some children can't actually do that because what happens is if they get malaria, which is an illness that can be very, very life-threatening, then they sometimes get some injection. Is it the not quinine injection? What is it? They get an injection to stop them from being really poorly with malaria, but sometimes that can stop them from being able to squat, from being able to play football and run around quite so easily and being able to sit down and go to the toilet. And also, when it's assemblies at school, they wouldn't be able to sit cross-legged on the floor either. So we've been able to make sure that 5 children are going to have the operation so that they will then have this gluteal muscle just cut into, and then they will be able to sit and squat again. So we are excited to hear about how they're going to get on, but prayers please for them. We also have a little bit of a plea from our special needs coordinator, Billy, because it might have been about 10, 15 years ago, I needed to find out, but I can't remember how long ago, he had a second-hand motorbike. And what happens is Billy goes into the villages, and the villages aren't a bit like St Peter's Village or Birchington Village. These are very, very rough terrains. These are muddy dips, great big holes. We've done it, haven't we, Stephen, with a car, which is a little bit scary at times, and particularly when the rains come and the dry land then becomes swampy. Oh dear. But can you imagine having to go through places that are this big with bushes and shrubs either side? Well, the only way that Billy can sometimes go and see some of these children in the villages is by going on his motorbike. Well, we have been able to have the motorbike repaired, thankfully, but it's costing an awful lot of money. So one thing that we're going to be finding out is how much it might be to get another second-hand motorbike, so that then hopefully I'll be able to go on the back of that one as well, as I did when we got the previous one. So the special needs motorbike will be there to actually support Billy visiting the children in the villages. Also, there is something that, as trustees, we've been working very hard on. Now, some of you at school won't really know about the stress that us teachers and us senior leaders go through writing policies. Policies are one of the very boring things that we have to do in our schools to make sure that you are getting the best possible provision. We also have to do them in church as well, don't we, Stephen? To make sure that we can provide everything that is needed in a school setting or in a church setting. But also, as trustees, we have to have policies as well. And one of them is to actually safeguard and look after the children, the young people that we work with. So we've been working very hard on a safeguarding policy, and Billy is really keen to start some research about safeguarding in Uganda. This is something that we haven't actually done before, getting so involved in research in order to inform and to support the local community leaders in Soroti, and to be perhaps a little bit pioneering in leading the way to ensure safeguarding for all. That includes the safeguarding for our coordinators out there. So this piece of research is something that we're going to be working on together, and to make sure that our English policy also links up with the Ugandan policy and practices. But that is going to cost quite a bit of money, and something that we actually haven't, as trustees, budgeted for. So again, it's something that we're focusing on, that we're looking at to actually make a difference in the area of Soroti, far more than just being a policy really for GC, but ensuring the Ugandan Act is coming to fruition and safeguarding those that we love so dearly out there. And also, I just wanted to update you on Crossroads School, because you will have found out before from one of our updates about the fact that we've been raising money, and the Invicta Wind Orchestra money has also provided laptops and a desktop computer for the school. We'll be continuing to provide the textbooks for the new Ugandan curriculum, as we're waiting to hear from the government which textbooks they're going to supply, and then we'll be able to supply other textbooks there. We're also pleased to say that we've been able to support those staff, the support staff and the teaching staff at Crossroads School with some extra money, because the rising cost of living is not just here in the UK, but so much more for those in Uganda. And so we have been able to provide them with a little gift each to help with the rising cost of food. So we really would like some prayers for the staff and pupils as they continue to face the ongoing challenges of illness, the fear of returning to school, in some cases fear of infection still from COVID, and also for the new change in the curriculum, for some exciting changes to take place for their education and learning. And we value your prayers for our coordinators, Abraham and for Billy too, as this time they are actually challenged by, just like we have here in the UK, unprecedented times, increased excessive poverty, mental health needs, as well as their own health needs. So thank you so much to everybody that continues to support GC. If you want to know more, then please find out from any of us as trustees, from ourselves, and also anything to do with the safeguarding research, bikes, anything that's been mentioned, please do get in touch. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow, great report. Thank you. I think you're definitely going to need your dad's permission to go on the back of that motorbike, because I could see his face, his little angel on the motorbike. He's thinking, no, that's not going to happen. So, sorry, Terry. Yeah, we never told you before she's been on the back of pretty much every motorbike in Uganda, let me tell you. She loves doing that. Okay.